In today's video, I'm going to cover a build that I've been using for a few days now where you can basically indefinitely spam consecration melees, and it's a lot of fun in PvE. You can actually use it in pretty challenging endgame content, and a lot of people forgot about this melee. And the reason why they forgot about this melee is because baby hammer builds with syntheseps are just so unbelievably strong, and so a lot of people just choose not to use consecration melees at all, or they think that they're bad. But when you watch the gameplay that I'm going to show you here in a minute, you'll see that consecration melees are extremely strong. Let's briefly go over everything I'm using. I've got the Burning Maul Super. You could also just throw hammers. We're using the half wall, so get it back a little bit faster. This will help with Heart of Inmost Light. And we use Catapult Lift. We're going to use throwing hammers, even though we're not actually going to be throwing the hammers. We're just going to be sliding and clicking the melee button for the consecration melee. Healing Grenades, so we have some survivability. Consecration, of course, for the aspect. Solar Invictus. Then we'll go through Ember of Torches, Solace, Blistering, and Searing for the entirety of the build. Now, credit to Plunder the Booty. He made a build very similarly, and when I saw that, I was really excited. It re-sparked my interest in this. However, my build is a little bit different from his. He's actually using Heavy-Handed, which I think is a mod that just requires a little too much energy. 7 energy is a bit too much for me. And then along with that, you have to actually rock Elemental Charge in order to get that to proc. I think that it's a little more useful to just rock Melee Wellmaker twice over and then rock a Bountiful Wells. I think you'll get a lot more utility out of that. Not to mention it will refresh all of your ability energy by getting those extra wells versus Heavy-Handed, which only refreshes your melee energy. So I choose to actually differ from his build in that regard. Now, starting from the top with the helmet, I highly recommend using an Arc Affinity helmet, so that way you can slot in hands-on, gain bonus super energy on melee kills. You are going to be melee killing everything. I'll launch an activity in here in just a moment. You can see, obviously I'm just throwing a strength mod, and then we're using a melee Wellmaker because I'm trying to get as much melee action as possible, which is also why your gauntlet is going to be a Void Affinity, so you can slot in Focusing Strike here, and then we'll have another melee Wellmaker there, another strength mod for myself, and then on the Heart of Inmost Light, we're just rocking melee damage resistance. Will actually be really important because we're getting so close to enemies that distance will actually help you survive a lot more. If you don't know, melee damage resistance isn't specific to an actual melee, it's just based on the distance of attack. So if a sniper were to snipe you from 2 feet away, melee damage resistance would actually work and sniper damage resistance would not work, so keep that in mind. The chest piece you will want to be Solar Affinity, so that way you can slot in Well of Life. The boots as well, you'll want to be a Solar Affinity, so that way you can slot in Bountiful Wells. And then I have a Resilience mod because I'm trying to always rock 100 Resilience, especially now and even after Lightfall. Lastly, the class item, you want to be an Arc Affinity, so you can slot in Double Outreach, and then we're going to have Seeking Wells, which also makes this build stronger than other Solar Titan build videos that I've seen, because Seeking Wells is really nice. The wells coming directly to you is way more advantageous than having to go to them. It's not always an option, not to mention it can be hard to find them sometimes due to explosions, making wells fly way far away, so Seeking Wells is definitely the play. Now let's launch Master Grasp of Avarice so we can see how this thing works in some pretty challenging endgame content. This is a 1610 activity. My build overall, of course, 100 resilience like I mentioned before, and then as much strength as possible. I can only make it to 90 strength, but you could probably make it even further than that if you wanted to. Could slot on Radiant Light instead of Seeking Wells if you really wanted to make sure to get that 100 strength build. I don't think it's entirely necessary though. What I'm going to do now is fly up to the ads here. I'll demonstrate a little bit how this works in action here. With this wizard here flying in the air. Just use that. We can constantly spam healing nades because we'll just get it back so often that it really won't matter. Gives me a ton of survivability. As soon as I start making these elemental wells, things will get very crazy here. And the fun part about using this melee is you can actually use it multi-directional. This wizard is messing me up, so I'll probably take this wizard out. It's honestly just fun watching everything explode and making like a ton of sunspots. Even though it's a 1610 activity and I'm a little bit under leveled for this, I'm still able to survive pretty well in this. I did take it into the Grandmasters, just as a side note. And while I did have some success here and there, it's definitely tough to survive in there. Not to mention it's a Void Burn Grandmaster. If it was a Solar Burn one, this thing would be disgusting. I can't wait to actually play in a Solar Burn Grandmaster using this build. I think it would actually destroy. It'd be a lot of fun. I love the ability to do it. I can hit like a full 180 mid melee. So I can launch the melee on the ground one direction and then damage the enemies in the other direction. I've taken this into probably every activity you can possibly do right now, and it's held up pretty well overall. And I will use this super to try and take out some of these wizards from time to time. Either super is equally as strong, so you can pick whichever one you like. I just chose this one, it has a little bit less cooldown. And because of the helmet mod, I'll get my super back moderately fast. And that's pretty much the build demonstrated. Comment down below your thoughts on this build, and you'll notice in the comments there will be a pinned link with the dim link to this exact build. If you want to click on that, it'll auto put on everything for you, make it really easy for you to jump right into Destiny 2 using this build. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'll bring you more build videos in the future. Thanks for watching. Later.